you, Wade.
Thank you.
Just leave your check. Rep.
I'll give you a call and we'll get some dates together.
Right,
Thank you
that
very
out,
much.
Rich Bowler, right?
Okay, item 6 is for discussion possible action at the request of Board President Ted Miller. The performance and contract consultants Abby Stubbs and Ford LLC will be reviewed. Since we've talked about this, we've discovered that their contract is up at the end of March, and we have already paid them, so it would probably be better, we can pass a motion at this meeting to not renew that contract, as we don't have any work for them to do. We've got a person in the audience that wants to speak on this item. Dave, do you have something to say?
Well, in light of what you just said, I just want to make a comment. Some of us citizens, myself and Barb Ellsat primarily, have worked very diligently on this Virgin River Habitat program over the years and brought a lot of evidence to the board of what we thought was Abby Stubbs and Ford's lack of performance on trying to get the Virgin River Habitat, and I think that's come to pass. It's shown proven factual now with Warren Hardy coming on board and solving this instead of 6 years and 6 months. So at this particular time, I would really, I know in the past there's been some members that on this board have protected the group, and I think this time it's very important that you make a statement to follow what the city did several months ago and cancel their contract. In this case, if it's in light of what's happening in Henderson with some filings of this group's actions, I think need to make the same statement that this board no longer is going to use them as any kind of consultant for their projects. Thank you.
Well, what I'm saying is, since the contract expires and we really don't have anything for them to do, that we could make a motion at this time to not renew that contract. Sure.
I would make that motion Thursday at the discussion. I'd make a motion that the contract with Abby Stubbs and Ford ends March 30th, 2013, and that we just do not retire. We just do not renew that contract at that time.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, call for the vote. All in favor, none opposed. Item 7 is for the discussion and possible action, consideration to award contract and notice to proceed for Mesa Boulevard asphalt to the lowest possible bidder. And I believe we have that in front of us, don't we? Trade West has $280,000. No, let's see. $56.25. Why is it, yeah,
That's what's budgeted, that's what we use.
okay.
That's what's left.
Okay, so we're just gonna give Trade West this $56.25. And that's what we need the approval for tonight.
Mr. President, if there's not any discussion, I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay, go ahead.
I make a motion that we award the contract to make the repairs, the asphalt repairs on Mesa Boulevard in the amount of $5,625 to Trade West.
Okay, I've got a motion
I'll second that.
and a second, call for the vote. All in favor, none opposed. Item 7, Item 8, excuse me. Discussion and possible action, consideration to award a contract notice to proceed for Bunkerville Well 2-8 transmission line project to the lowest bidder in the best interest of the Virgin Valley Water District, and that is Valley Underground at $169,506.
Mr. President, I'll be abstaining from this vote.
Okay, thank you.
Henry Slack, Mesquite General Contracting. I just want to make the board aware, we were the high bidder on this. We don't have a dog in the fight now, but there were some issues with bid documents on this project with regard to subcontractor listing. NRS 338-141, and how the subcontractor list was called for. I don't know how the other bidders turned in. You can look at our list and our bid package, but we don't, I mean, I'm not here, obviously, we were the highest bidder, but you guys should be aware that the bid documents were incomplete with regard to the listing of subcontractors on that project.
Well, Ken, do you want to respond to that?
If I may, Mr.
Sure.
President. We have Joel here from Bone Collins Associates. Also, yeah, he's here, okay. And we talked with him and Aaron and our inspector. We looked at the bid documents for the lowest bidder. They seem to have a responsible bid. They have no subcontractors. So they're committed to paying prevailing wages. They have quite a few suppliers for, rock and gravel and asphalt, but no subcontractors. We've had very good rapport with this contractor before, and our recommendation, staff's, is that in light of the specifications and how we set them up so that the PVC with the restraints is, and the new bedding that we have in our specs that you approved. We have a lot of confidence that the PVC will return us very good service. We think that even though the ductile iron pipe was only 27,000 or so more, that we still have a lot of comfort with the PVC, and it's easier to work on. So our recommendation is to go with the low bidder on PVC, which is 169,000 or so. You have a breakdown there?
$506, yeah.
Yeah. And Joel is here also, good engineer, helped on the design, if you'd like to ask him any questions.
Well, I don't have any questions.
Don't have any questions. I'll make a motion,
Okay.
that we award the contract for the Virgin Valley, or the Bunkerville well number 2 8-inch transmission line to Valley Underground for the total of $169,506.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion, a second, call for the vote. 4 in favor, 1 abstain. Where are you gonna come up with the other $983, Wes?
I'm sure we can find it from you. We need to.
The next one's a little harder to come by, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that motion carries. We'll go to action item number 9, 10.
Oh, no.
9,
Sorry.
10. Don't get seven here. Discussion possible action, consideration to approve several pump and motor pump purchases associated with ongoing well rehabilitation for Lane Christensen as detailed in an attached memorandum. Let's see. I looked at that. And that's for $199,226.54, which puts us in the rears $136,000.
If you don't mind, I'd just like some clarification. I did not vote on this originally due to the fact that family interest on the old tank and all these improvements may negate the use of that tank, may benefit us. Do you see any problem with me voting on this item, or should I abstain also?
That's a good question. So just to clarify, you didn't participate in initial discussion on this,
Yeah.
this item with the pump and motor purchases, but now that,
Well, he didn't vote on, not on the purchase of them, but of the rehabbing of the wells and the studies of the wells.
okay,
Now the studies are back and these are the fixes for those wells, so.
okay, so it's a
I think
different
we need
issue.
It's a
Declare
different
it.
issue.
That's-
I mean, to me, I don't see a conflict.
Yeah, I don't think there's a conflict
Where
with
you
that as far as.
Especially where you
considering-
declared it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
If I may, Mr. President?
Yes, sir, Mr. Roth.
Thank you. This has been a large part of what staff has been working on the last several weeks. We knew we discovered downhole issues. Frankly, we were hoping that the cost for the force main would come in lower so that we'd have additional money in the overall improvements budget in order to basically cover this and come out even. It didn't work out that way. Aaron does have some good news, though. Yeah, we managed to pinch down some of those costs. The end result will be that we'd like for your approval on these so we can issue purchase orders on the ones I haven't signed already. Basically the big stuff, the things that I didn't need to get going already, like we gotta rebuild that motor, we don't have a choice on that. For on the pump work and this downhole for well 33, we think we found fair prices. Aaron, with a little bit of nudging from me, has saved us tens of thousands of dollars. And I'd like to turn over to Aaron at this point because he's been working so hard on it, if that's okay.
Yeah, these items of change specifically are for things downhole that without investigation was no way to get a quote from prior to. Two of the larger ones, the 86,000, I can't remember the exact amount, but that's specifically for the column pipe, oil tube, and shaft assembly at 33. That's something we had discussed prior to going out to bid, or putting this scope out for bid. Well 33 and well 31 were put in at the same time. They have the same assembly used, everything. And when we did that just, a year and a half ago, that assembly still has life in it. So that's one reason we didn't put it in here, and that's one reason now you're seeing this change, is because once we pulled it out, it deteriorated to the point that we're surprised it hadn't failed already. We've saved as much.
The water in 33 is different than 31, is the bottom line. It's corroded.
Correct. That's something I provided, I think, in other earlier reports. It is, there's things different in the water quality or water chemistry that's going on there. With that in mind, these are the fixes for that. We've came up with some other solutions to use some PVC tailpipe in there that is going to reduce costs in the future and reduce costs now because it costs less to put that in. Some of the motor work at 33, that's we were hoping to use one of our backup motors as we investigated that. Our current, it's an 800 horse where this is a 700 horse, and our motor controls are only set up to handle 700 horse or the amperage that it draws. I'm investigating if we can retrofit that and talking with the manufacturer. So hopefully, at this point, even our backups really aren't backups to us unless we fix that. So this, for the motor repair at 33, that is it's over $22,000. Replacement motor is a little over $50,000, close to $60,000 between the quotes if we went that route. This is a much faster turnaround time. Another thing that was we didn't plan on is having to rework the motor at 26 and the bowls from 26. That's what we had sitting on the shelf in the back. Staff from prior told that those have been rebuilt and were ready for use, and we had some light documentation. I've actually investigated that out more and found a proposal that was done but was never executed, never acted on. So it had been sent to the yard to be inspected, but then never rebuilt. So once it was re-inspected, that's what this proposal is, to actually rebuild those, and now we can increase the production at 26 by, it'll be between 400 and 500 gallons a minute, which is equivalent to one of our small wells, like well 2, which will substantially assist us in the summer months. But that's kind of how those change orders came to be, or those additional items. I don't know if I've answered some questions before you would have them, but if not, please feel free to ask me, and open to questions.
Well, to me, once again, it looks like it's something we need, but my next question is where the hell are we gonna get the money?
Wes,
I got a lot of needs at home, but when the money's not there, the money's not there, so.
Wes and I, we've talked about this, and again, we've seen some of these come in, and that's, we've been trying to go over that. Again, between the original budget item was $370,000 for this work. And then we didn't do the aqueduct treatment this year, and that was an additional $90,000. So it came out to $460,000. So that's still behind, what do you have that breakdown right there?
Yeah, we're 136,000 short. We've got, in looking at the budgeted items and talking with staff about, in the maintenance arena, things that can identifiably be deferred until next year. We've got a $20,000 that we had budgeted for a booster pump that Steve says can be put off. Nothing's in failure, it was just a proactive maintenance thing, and he said that can be put off until next year, budgeted. So that's 20,000. That still leaves us 116 short. We're gonna be,
Didn't we save some money on the, well, number 2 though? Did we come in under budget there?
With the transmission line, that we were hoping for a substantially lower reduction in that, but actually, that's the bid it came in.
yeah,
and
that's the
it's-
one that's 983 over overall budget.
Okay.
So we were hoping for money in that arena, based on original estimates for that bid, but that didn't materialize. So yeah, the answer is, in terms of budgeted funds, there's gonna be a few thousand here and there, Kenyon, from various categories, but I don't see any huge savings. I can tell you that from a revenue standpoint, we've had impact fees and ordinance 2 fees come in that were way over anticipated budgets, but those should be earmarked for the things that they're supposed to do, and so that money wouldn't necessarily be available for use this year. In terms of revenue, we are right on track with our budgeted numbers as far as revenue for water use, or for water revenues. So I don't anticipate any big changes there. So doing these things to take advantage of, number one, we gotta get well 33 up and going, so there's not a whole lot we can do. We're gonna have to spend the money. Because if we don't have well 33, based on my conversation with Aaron, if we don't have well 33 this summer, we don't have water. So that is an issue. But to accomplish it, financially, it's gonna come out of cash. And we do have the money, we've got the cash available. We can augment, at the end of the year, we can augment to accommodate this excess expenditure, and we would be covered, but the board needs to go into it, if you do that, recognizing that that's what's happening.
Along with that, and this, with the silver lining on it, I guess, if you can put that, is we're gonna have 3 wells that are functioning at their highest capacity, production-wise, reliability-wise, and also we're gonna have insight of future well placement, or if we can, recondition those 2, well 9 and well 1 decommissioned wells, come back into service, which, so I know it's over budget this year. I would recommend, I mean, if it wasn't done this year, we'd be doing it next, so
So, I guess clarify it for me, if you would, please. We had Lane Christensen look at all this work, because they're here, we didn't know what condition it was in until we actually,
correct.
we didn't know what the scope of work was gonna be. But now that we know the scope of work, are we gonna bid it out, or are we just plan on having Lane? Looks to me like some of it's already been decided as far as the rebuilds have been ordered, right?
On some of them, the motor for 33
Right,
and the motor for 26.
so both been sent.
And those are, again, the contract is, that Lane signed has a certain parameter that things has to be done on, and that's what they bid on, and if, anyways, you go change that, it's going to restructure the time that things will get accomplished by. Someone else, we gotta go out, bid it, get the motors done, things of that nature. So I understand your point. But with that, I guess, it's,
I guess my problem is we're coming in over budget, and I understand that we didn't have this work done by a certain time to supply water. And it looks to me like we've already got some of it started. But we don't have, what you're telling me is we don't have time to go to bid to try to get a little more competitively priced work.
what would be difficult is, it's pulled now, before they can even finish their job, someone else would have to come. It's,
They're in the
who
middle.
who would have the warranty on it, and
They're in
who,
the middle of the job.
it is, it would be, to tease out that would be very, I don't know if it's possible. I mean, I guess it probably is, but it would be difficult and time consuming to do that. Eh, In the future,
I
I guess.
understand what you're saying, and that was my question.
Yeah, no, it's a good, next time, I think maybe we might look at bidding out the whole, replacing everything in a well. And then if it doesn't have to be replaced, that line item can be removed. And that's something that's,
Start worst case.
right, and
Scale
it's,
back.
it's gonna drop some jobs when we first open the bids, because it would be replacing everything. But with the understanding, once it's actually pulled, we could go back. And that way, it would be competitively bid. And so that's something that has been gleaned from this and is gonna be, I'd hope be implemented in the future. And that's something that, yeah,
If I may support Aaron for a moment here?
Sure.
Thank you. We did get in several estimates that we questioned, and a couple of them we thought were in line, particularly for like the rebuild of
20, on the motor at 26.
26 and 31. Well, we knew how much 31 was gonna cost to be rebuilt, because Lane Christensen gave us the lowest bid on that when we went out to look at that rebuild. And so we knew what the ballpark should be. So 26, I mean, we basically put the price on them. You can hear us said, these have gotta come in close to that number. And so they responded favorably. And then also, when they came in with the bid for a well 33 rebuild, the downhole stuff, is we looked at the big price items, and we had them actually look at the oil tube and send us back pictures of, is this really shot? Because this was like $30,000. And we got pictures saying, yeah, the seam's showing all the way down, it's about ready to go. And then on the downhole assembly of that, basically a straw, so that the pump doesn't have to be put down as far, you put a straw down into the water, is, we came up with that to save money, and then their bid on the plastic seemed awful high to us. And so Aaron went out and he got other bids on this connectable PVC straw, and so we're gonna buy that separately, because they can't match what we found to get it for. So that's why I put down less than 118,000, and the actual cost was, I can't remember the number.
It's $15,480 plus the 86,000, so it comes out, I think, 101,000 something. Anyways, it's a savings of just over $16,000 from their original proposal for well 33, the replacement of the assembly, to what we have now.
So we were constrained by the fact that, basically they were a mechanic and they found this stuff was wrong and we need to have them replace it, but we've been negotiating and making sure the prices were cut close as we could reasonably get them. And the cost for overhauling the motors was so much dramatically better than new motors, and we still get the warranty. And there's a long lead time in those. One of the motors had to go to Alabama, so.
If I can kind of
Sure. Go ahead.
piggyback on Rich's question for a second. The initial contract with Lane Christensen, was that just to pull these and look at it and see what might need to be done, or did it include
Correct.
rehabilitation work or repair work that might need to be
Within the
done?
contract, it says to pull it to
Assess.
assess it and then to bring us specifically in there, if work needed to be done, then to bring us a proposal to fix that. I mean, it was in there for that purpose, because there was no way, I mean, I guess it's kind of similar to a car. I mean, you know something's wrong, you take it in there, they're gonna quote you, and it's gonna cost X amount of dollars to look at it, and then they find out what's wrong, and there's gonna be additional cost to actually
Have you
the
ever
parts.
noticed they always find something wrong?
Yeah, and no one likes it. I mean, it's a tough pill to swallow type thing, but I guess that'd be a good analogy, even though it's, at the same time, no one likes to go get their car work done. It hurts.
Aaron, when we talked about this the first place, when we were gonna do all this, one of the things that came up was the amount of savings that we would have if we weren't having to bring them back in later to do, because they're already here, they've already got all their equipment staged. How much do you estimate we're saved if we do this now instead of later? Let's say we only do part of it. We don't try to augment the money and we just go ahead and do it later. How much more is that gonna cost us, and is that an offset to what we're talking about?
There is, the mobilization costs for each site. I wanna run and grab the actual bid.
22,000
That's about, and if we did it per site, you know, again, if we came back later and did multiple sites, then again, you would have those mobilization costs lumped together. Whereas this has five wells lumped together. You're gonna be incurring mobilization costs front and back. That's a large percent of that cost. I mean, other than that, then it's actual parts that we're purchasing. I mean, that's what we're paying for in this change order. It's the parts. Additional work, we've actually reduced some of the work that Lane's gonna be doing, because they're gonna be setting it approximately 450 feet further up, which is less work for them. Some other, the mobilization cost is the main thing that is gonna be saved.
So we don't do it all now and they come back later, then there would be another.
Yeah, the parts are gonna be very similar, if not the same, and then we're just gonna be paying the mobilization cost.
Mobilization charge would be repeated though.
Correct.
As they come back.
And
Something to
staff
take into
control.
consideration, or we're gonna just burn up $30,000 or $40,000, and we're $100,000 over and we have it in our reserve, right? It seems prudent to me that we spend $40,000 less, because next year, once you've completed all these, basically, our budgeting next year is not going to contain anywhere near the amount of rehab that we've looked at this year.
Correct.
And we'll be caught up finally for once and have all of our equipment funded.
Some of these things have been
properly.
postponed from the last couple of years when the economics weren't so favorable, and kind of.
The last couple of years, we've been sweating whether we were gonna make it through the summer or not, you know, and this puts us in a position where we don't have to worry about that.
The majority of our wells will have been worked on in the last 2 or 3 years after this, and especially our main producers that we have to rely on. So that's, again, you know, the benefit of it. So those are very good points.
So what you're telling us is our budget for this amount for next year is only gonna be $60,000.
Well, there's gonna still be room for unknowns. I mean, I can't guarantee
understand.
what's gonna
But
happen with
it's
those
not gonna
wells.
be near the 460, is that what you're saying?
Correct, on well maintenance, I'm gonna have a contingency in there for the what if, which every year we have, because no one can guarantee
Right.
what's gonna happen. So yeah, that's,
I think it goes without saying, though, that we've rehabbed everything virtually at this point, that next year's numbers are gonna be significantly less. But
Okay.
my thought is that we go ahead and do them, but that's just my thought.
All right, is there any other questions?
Besides the checking well number 1 in Bunkerville, nothing's gonna be done to those 2 wells?
No,
Nothing,
that-
right? Those were just to see what the condition they were in, right?
we added a little on there because once we videoed it, there was such corrosion and buildup that you couldn't see anything. So we went and had it brushed off, so the video is gonna occur, I think next week is what's planned. And now we'll actually be able to take a look at the actual still in there and see if it has any integrity. And then that's where either, regardless, again, at well one, if we have to add additional well, hopefully we can just re-outfit that. If not, we're getting water quality samples off that, and what we learn from working on well one can go forward to a future well there. So it's not lost by any means at that site.
My question was in this addendum to Lane Christensen for $136,000. There wasn't anything to redo those 2 wells, it's just to what we'd already planned.
Correct.
If I may, can you? I did, they went down and looked at the well, but with the corrosion, it was impossible to tell what the integrity was of the casing, so I did approve, and I think I wrote you a memo about $11,000 some odd to brush the well, clean it, and take another video in order to assess whether or not that casing is salvageable. And potentially, maybe we can concrete up the bottom part of it and still get enough production out of it, but we can't really tell if we have to put another $500,000 into another hole until we basically take a chance well, we're not gonna take a chance, the chance we're taking is like invest $11,000 to see whether or not this one's salvageable. And the
So
conditions.
are we gonna have the information in time to put anything in next year's budget if we decide that we are gonna?
We'll have right now, part of that process at well one, a process called swabbing, and you're just bringing water in and up, not like this, energy. No filter pack came through the screen in that, which is a good sign, but also could be a bad sign, being that there's no filter pack left. And so,
Come on, Leslie, think positive.
yeah,
Get the
but,
story straight.
so, it'll give us a very good indication of what direction will need to occur in next year's budget.
Okay. All right, I'm looking for a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
All right.
I move that we authorize Ken to go ahead and complete the work as laid out in the proposal with Lynn. What's her name?
Lane Christensen.
Lane Christensen, to complete the work while we have him here for the total amount of.
199, 226.52.
You got there, 190, yeah.
Okay.
And augment the difference from our reserves and reevaluate next year how much we'll be spending in those funds to make that back up.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second, call for the vote. Aye, 5 in favor. That motion passes. We go for item number 10, for discussion possible action, revise the job description for the general manager as is proposed for the board of approval. I believe this is from Mr. Rock.
Yes, sir. I did evaluate, I wrote all the other job descriptions for everybody in the organization. And then, based on that, I thought I was probably ready to look at mine. And in order to make it consistent with the others, I used this format. And after spending a couple of years in this job, I had a few other things to add that it seemed like the board expected out of the general manager. I tried to leave it open enough so that, you know, assuming I'm here lots of years, it'd be great, but when you look to replace me, because I retire or whatever, that I haven't written the job description so tight that you can't find people of different backgrounds in order to do that. So that's why I wrote it the way it is. And I thought that this was a good time to present it because you're gonna be doing my evaluation also at this time.
I only got one comment, and I didn't know that, how do I put this? I mean, it'd be nice to be able to write your own job description. Because if I could write my own job description, I think I could cut some things out that I didn't want to do. But, you know, I just don't think that it was, you know, I went back and looked through the job description that you provided from the past. I looked at responsibilities and you know, I never saw anywhere where it said general manager's job description is to write general manager's job description. So, I don't know, when I read it, I just had a problem with it. I don't know, that's just my opinion.
If I may, I compared the two, where somebody is. what are the differences between the two?
Um,
I saw some things were a little reworded and the order was
Yeah, I couldn't see.
I couldn't find any major differences. What were the major differences?
There were very few differences.
What
I'm
were
trying-
any differences, I guess is the question.
Unfortunately, I don't remember the details, but I did try and incorporate everything from the first one that you used to recruit me into the second one, but into the new format. There are a few things that were kind of standard about physical demands, mental demands, working environment, that were kind of standard and I think kind of protect the district. But in terms of essential duties and responsibility, I did not try to delete anything that I found uncomfortable or difficult.
Well, I didn't see anything that was added. I mean, I compared the two, and I couldn't find any difference other than some wording and the order they were in, so. To me, I was like, gave me brain damage, to be honest with you. 'Cause I'm like, wait, no, that said that, but it said it on a different number, so.
And I tried to order it in a more progressive, logical manner, but you're right, I try not to really change much except for the formatting and to make it consistent with the other job descriptions. And the other things about, like I said, work environment, qualification requirements, physical demands.
Well, to me, it's like you took a red wheel, painted it blue and said, hey, here's my new job description.
I have a question. I have a question along those same lines, and if that, I looked at them both,
Okay.
and I thought evidently the old one was pretty good, because I thought it covered the subject well. And so I guess my question is to the rest of the board then, if we're that concerned about what you see missing there, we can just add it to it. Do you see anything missing?
I don't think that's the point. The point I'm making is, it's the same document.
Well, it doesn't mean it's a bad document, does it?
No,
I'm just curious where we're going with this, because it seems to me that it's pretty much all there. I mean,
And I agree, it's all there, why redo it? That was my point.
That's a good question.
That was my point.
I think it does flow a little bit better, but it's all the same information basically I could see there, including openness with the public and keeping the public involved in what's going on here and knowledgeable of it and working with the board and board members.
Okay, Sandra, do you have something?
Well, I really didn't see that there was a lot of difference either, but what I believe happened here is because of the fact that Ken just rewrote all the job descriptions for all the employees and all those that didn't have one. It looked to me from what I had seen of theirs is that he was basically just trying to make everything look the same, read as easily, and everything being the same format. So if you went to go look at something on somebody's job description, you know what page to find it on this job description, because they're
Same heading,
same kind of heading, the same type of.
That was my motivation. I wasn't trying to change my job or to interject controversy. I was just trying to make the description consistent with the others.
Where are we at?
Well, if there isn't any other discussion, I'd be willing to make a motion that we approve the new proposed revised job description for the general manager.
Okay, I have a motion on the table,
I'll second it.
and I have a second on the table. All those in favor, raise their hand.
I'm not opposed to it, it's the same, it says the same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
One opposed.